Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We shall start now. I am Juanito Conanan, PICE Board of Director, and currently the chair of the PICE Disaster Risk Management Program. And since TC-21 has no Philippine group, the PICE Disaster Risk Management Program Committee adopted the TC-21. So I will be your moderator and session chair for this afternoon. As a background for transdisciplinary approach, we will discuss the practices in Japan and in the Philippines. So embracing a transdisciplinary approach for disaster risk reduction goes beyond conventional methodologies by fostering an inclusive and collaborative implementation strategy. So this approach brings together stakeholders from diverse disciplines and sectors, cultivating a collective synergy to co-produce and co-implement solutions that shall effectively mitigate disaster risk. So this technical session will be focusing on the practices made by our colleagues from Japan and in the Philippines. So we will be highlighting case studies and program of actions being implemented by the countries. And the key highlights for this afternoon will be about inclusivity and collaboration. We shall explore how the TDA or the transdisciplinary approach serves as a catalyst for inclusivity and collaboration among stakeholders, fostering a holistic response to disaster risk. And we shall also highlight case studies, shared learnings, and guideline formations for TDA. So to start our program, we will call on the co-chair of the Transdisciplinary Approach or the TC-21 Committee of the ASEC, no other than the former PICE President and currently the Congressman of the Republic of the Philippines representing one district of the Surigao province. Let me introduce to you Congressman Momo.
Thank you so much. Before I will read the message that we have prepared, I'd like to inform you that I have been here in TC-21 for quite a time already. I have been a co-chair for almost 5 years, I think so. Dr. Takeuchi. 8 years, yeah. My former co-chair is Dr. Takeuchi. And I don't know why they keep on... And now, Dr. Ishiwatari is my co-chair, and I don't know why they keep on electing me as co-chair. I do not know why. But again, it is a privilege really because I learned a lot in this technical committee. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's event, focusing on TC-21 transdisciplinary approach and practices in Japan, Philippines, and other Asian countries. It is a pleasure to have all of you here as we delve into the innovative methodology that is reshaping the landscape of education, research, technology, and practices in both countries. The TC-21 transdisciplinary approach signifies a fundamental change in our approach to multifaceted societal issues. The TC-21 strategy promotes interdisciplinary collaboration amongst researchers, practitioners, and policymakers like us, encouraging everyone to work together across various fields of studies, transcending traditional disciplinary boundaries that often restrict knowledge and cooperation. As a representative in the 19th Congress, I have been tirelessly championing the approval of a robust and forward-thinking building code This code aims not only to bolster the structural integrity of all constructions, but also to fortify our communities against the devastating impact of disasters, ensuring that the safety and security of every Filipino citizen and their valuable properties. We also have the 30-year infrastructure program, which I am the main author, taking in mind lasting infrastructure that shall withstand disasters. Another bill we are championing, and I'm again the main author of this, is the Rainwater Harvesting Facility Bill, or Act, so that buildings, public and private, can preempt floods caused by incessant and continuous heavy rains and storms, and to provide adequate source of household water. Just last Wednesday, the Department of Agriculture and Task Force El Nino gave this briefing in the destructive effect of El Nino in the country, particularly on the agricultural sector. In all government approach, the current administration, through interdisciplinary approach, comes with a program to mitigate El Nino's effect and assist the Filipino people to overcome this natural challenge brought by climate change. Our presentations, studies, findings here are crucial for everyone's lives, which is why I make it an effort to attend whenever possible all these committee meetings. Meetings concerning TC-21 are being held due to the frequent disasters affecting not just the Philippines, but also other Asian countries. In the dynamic landscape of the Philippines, the TC-21 transdisciplinary approach is swiftly gaining momentum as a proactive response to our nation's urgent socioeconomic and environmental challenges. From the pervasive issues of poverty and inequality to the escalating threats posed by climate change and natural disasters, there is an increasing widespread acknowledgement of the imperative for comprehensive solution that transcend traditional disciplinary boundaries. From sustainable agriculture to disaster risk reduction and cultural heritage preservation, Filipinos are applying TC-21 approach to generate innovative solutions rooted on local context and community engagement. What sets the TC-21 transdisciplinary approach apart is its emphasis on collaboration, diversity, and inclusivity. By bringing together experts from different backgrounds, industries, and sectors, this approach fosters creativity and innovations, leading to breakthrough that would not be possible within the confines of traditional disciplinary boundaries. Moreover, the TC-21 approach values local knowledge and indigenous wisdom, recognizing the importance of integrating diverse perspectives in addressing complex challenges. However, implementing TC-21 transdisciplinary approach comes with its own set of challenges. Overcoming institutional barriers, fostering interdisciplinary communication, and incentivizing collaborative research are among the hurdles that both Japan and Philippines must navigate. Moreover, promoting inclusivity and equity in research partnership is essential to ensure that diverse voices are heard and valued. As we look to the future of TC-21 transdisciplinary approach, holds its immense promise for driving positive changes in Japan, Philippines, and other countries in Asia. By breaking down divisions and fostering collaboration, this approach has the potential to address some of the most pressing challenges facing our societies. It is my hope that the government, academic institution, and civil society organization will continue to support and invest in the TC-21 approach, unlocking new possibilities for innovation, sustainability, and social progress. Welcome, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Romy Momo. We believe, sir, that your position as co-chair will last as long as TC-21 is here. You know? So, thank you very much for that welcome remarks. Okay, we will have 5 topics for this afternoon, and the first one will be presented by the former chair, Professor Takeuchi, who is now an advisor of the TC-21, recovery from Typhoon Yolanda. Sir.
Well, thank you very much for your introduction. And also, I appreciate your presence here. And I like to say the congratulations for the Philippine development is so fast. And I noticed today the Philippine government investment, the DPWH investment for flood protection budget is bigger than Japanese one. Compared with the population and the size of GDP, this is really great. And I appreciate your effort to persuade many sectors of people. You are exercising TDA very much. Thank you very much. Well, today I like to talk about need of researchers in academia to get involved in transdisciplinary approach. And actually, this is more like an appeal to the researchers in public sector or the TDA members in the public sector. Well, please. Yeah, TDA is simply the transdisciplinary approach for building societal resilience to disaster. This is TC-21. And transdisciplinary approach is simply the all disciplines and sectors working together for scientific knowledge-based decision-making in all aspects of the disaster management cycle. And in short, this is co-design, co-produce, co-deliver, and co-implement, working together. And this is difficult. Please. And in order to look into the difficulty of this TDA, we made case studies in various countries, including Philippines, and we came to the ORMOC, Tacloban and ORMOC 2016, and the last year, 2023. And unfortunately, the report of Tacloban and ORMOC hasn't been compiled yet. This will be compiled soon. However, myself and Ladylyn, Professor Ladylyn Mangada, she will be the next speaker, got together and looked into kind of general needs in TDA. Please. And found those, more like 6 the difficulties. And difficulties in coordination, difficulties of residential participation, and the difficulty in governmental personnel continuity, and the difficulty in information flow, and poor intergovernmental collaboration at emergency. And all those are more like related to difficulty in communication, or lack of communication, or lack of time, lack of, the organizational hegemony, or organizational competition, or the lack of trust, mutual trust. However, the problem of lack of meaningful participation of researchers in implementation is a bit different. Different causes. Please. We have the realities of researchers in academia. Number one, little opportunity to get involved in practical experiences. Well, this is part of appeal. You know, the people in public sector, please look at the researchers in academia. So, little opportunity because they are not experienced, they are not useful. So, the little experience and, but because of little experience, the little opportunity. So opportunity and experience are vicious cycle. Now, because of this, little interest in real societal problems in front of us. This is the young researchers, and young researchers are looking at something curious, something original, and something new, if it's not picking holes type of thing. And aiming at publishing in SCI journal. And our glorious target is Science and Nature journal. You know, with such experience, eventually they become research leaders, such as a university professor. And as a result, please, primitive but practical technology should go through. They don't pay attention, but it is necessary. And they pay attention to innovative but expensive, or fundamental but useful in the far future. And those target, innovative or fundamental, may not be useful in majority of cases, practical cases. However, such impact are large, especially, this is a bit in my case, especially for foreign students from developing countries, where those developing countries, people need basic development, such as basic disaster risk reduction or the poverty eradication. And for those, such the themes are not necessarily useful. Well, please. In fact, the professors teach and guide foreign students in frontline sciences, not what foreign students need and most appropriate at home. And therefore, the brilliant, disciplined, and well-educated, top graduates are not necessarily appreciated by their home country. We see such cases all over, and they often migrate to advanced countries, maybe where they got education. And this is the result. This results in contribute to increased science divide or economic divide, rather than decreasing. Okay, please. Now, remedies. How to change this kind of vicious cycle. Give every opportunity to get involved in practice. This researchers in academia. This is my kind of appeal to many of you. And give more credit in their career assessment for involvement in practical matters. This credit is very important. Credit in their career assessment. And maybe institutionalize academic people's involvement in societal decision-making process. You know, citizen participation is already institutionalized. citizens has to be in the process of decision making through hearing or consultation. It's similar. Maybe some academia people is necessary to be involved, and more scientific focus on primitive yet practical technology and appropriate technology. And I think important thing is customization of advanced technology to appropriate technology, such as observation, the advanced observation, data processing, or information technology systems approach. What TDA is also a kind of advanced technology that should be customized to the appropriate technology or primitive but practical technology, because they are used and needed. Please. And conclusion. Lack of research as participation to practical practice. Lack of research as participation to practice distort development as well as education. Not only development, but also education. That makes a big impact. And the needs of science and technology for societal development are different in different different development stages. More effort to customize advanced technologies for appropriate technologies. Researchers' involvement should be promoted institutionally in decision-making process and credited in career assessment. Researchers' involvement should be promoted institutionally. Congressman is the Englishman. And credited in career assessment by university. Okay, the last picture. This is achievement in sustainable development, and this is countries in different development stage. It goes in this way. This is called S-curve by Takeuchi-san, and his argument. And this is my argument too. Advanced country started from this infrastructure and also technology. And coming up, developing countries, maybe this stage, or I think Philippines is quite near to advanced country already. However, those countries need this infrastructure and technology. So if you bring this technology and infrastructure to here, well, it doesn't work. Still, of course, advanced technology and science is necessary, but it should be customized to what they need at home. Well, this is my basic, the appeal to all of you. Thank you very much.
That was very interesting, Professor. Arigato gozaimasu, for waking up, for the need to research on the actual conditions. Okay, so let's proceed with the next topic, and I would like to present to you a professor from the UP, University of the Philippines, Visayas, Tacloban College, to discuss about community recovery in Tacloban. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Ladylyn Mangada.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm going to share with you what we discovered on the ground last year using TDA lens. So this is a picture of one of the housing sites in Tacloban City after Yolanda. Okay, so we are all familiar that Tacloban City was devastated in 2013 by Super Typhoon Haiyan, and the damage was close to $2 trillion US dollars. And Tacloban City is the economic hub of Eastern Visayas. Okay, so as a response, the city government of Tacloban allocated around 80 hectares of land in the northern district known as Tacloban North, or locally it's known as Pabahay, as safe areas to build the new settlement. This is North Hill Arbors. This is the housing site sponsored by the National Housing Authority, state-sponsored housing. And then back then, the former President Benigno Aquino III committed to building back better. So this part in San Jose, the coastal side, and there was the policy of the so-called no-build zone because these areas were actually inhabited by informal settlers. So that's one of the sites. Okay, so as mentioned, Tacloban City has a resettlement site known as Tacloban North, and it is dispersed across 11 barangays. And out of the 31 permanent housing villages, 17 of these are developed by the National Housing Authority, which committed to construct 14,479 housing units. However, NHA has to deliver the said figure. Okay, so as of that, June 2020, only 65% were occupied. Unfortunately, this is a good structure. This is coming from Pope Francis, donation by the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the United States of America. Beautiful resettlement. Okay? Oh, okay, so when people were transferred there, they had several struggles. They have several issues. One, they find that the location is quite far from their livelihood sources, and there was the lack of potable water and reproductive health and services. The housing units, especially the one that was constructed by NHA, were small, and that there was too much delay in the construction of school buildings, health centers, and also beneficiaries complained of poor communication and lack of transparency in the resettlement process. Okay? So from the point of view of TDA, based on our interviews, the local government officials, meaning the city government officials, claimed that the process, they had consultations, consensus building, which involved the 138 barangays, the local government officers, some humanitarian development workers. And they said that they discussed and agreed to build a new pabahay or housing sites with spaces for commercial shops and provision of basic services. However, again, in spite of of that process, the people there now face the problem of water supply, health clinics, and learning facilities. Okay, so as mentioned by Dr. Takeuchi, what happened in Tacloban City was that there was a breakdown of communication between the central government and the local government, okay? So for one, there was coordination challenges. What is these coordination challenges? Very familiar that the Philippines is a unitary system, and we are dominated by a strong executive, and on the ground, especially during Haiyan, the national government agencies represented by the regional offices dominated the process. And there were even reports that the local government of Tacloban could not work well with the regional government agencies. Second is the poor residential and beneficiary participation. The people, well, not only the survivors, but all of us are not used. There is no permanent mechanism for us to participate. So that when Haiyan devastated us, and there was very limited opportunity for people to express or to join in the table, the beneficiaries would opt to go to meetings where livelihood opportunities were being provided because they were in need of food, of shelter, etc. Then the third is snugs in DRR personal continuity. In Tacloban City, the Office of the City Disaster Risk and Management Office actually had several heads. It was only lately that a permanent staff was appointed. So the problem of continuity of the program, of the activities suffered a lot. In fact, when Haiyan hit us, many people were asking, who's in control? Then we have difficulty in information flow and sharing. As a result of communication breakdown, not so good relations between the local government of Tacloban and the regional offices, we encountered difficulty in sharing information. And most often, the practice is operating in silos. In fact, some of the offices would keep information rather than share, rather than disseminate. And finally, the poor intragovernmental collaboration at the response or emergency level. So we argue that we cannot practice transdisciplinary approach if you're only going to do it in the post-disaster. It should be exercised before, so that when bad or adverse events happen, it's part of your system. Not that you only introduce it during a crisis. Because in a crisis, you need a strong person, a strong office that would not sacrifice participation, inclusivity, and collaboration. In TDA, we emphasize about the number and the variety of players. We emphasize on the number and variety of the degree of involvement of the stakeholders. Not just one office, not just two or many people, but say poorly educated. We cannot say that's TDA. So this is what happened to us in Tacloban City, and I hope it will not be repeated. So again, we say that since we have low capacity and few livelihood assets to cope, prepare, cope, and recover from the disaster, from the damage, what happened to us is we're not, especially those who are living in the housing sites, their conditions have not improved. Especially with the onset of the pandemic, things have become not so good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Lady, for giving us actual insights of what has happened after the Haiyan devastation in Tacloban. Okay, so let's move forward with the next presenter to discuss mainstreaming the transdisciplinary approach to DRRM through a general education course. May we call on Professor Mark Albert Zarco from the University of the Philippines.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for inviting me to speak here this afternoon. So this is about a general education course that we have conducted, or we've offered at the University of the Philippines Institute of Civil Engineering for the past almost 11 years. And it basically uses a transdisciplinary or a interdisciplinary approach. So my co-authors to this paper, aside from myself and Dr. Pacheco from the Institute of Civil Engineering, the other faculty members are from the Department of Psychology, Art Studies, Education, and also the College of Fine Arts. So all of these disciplines actually have a role to play in disaster risk management. So as I mentioned, this course is called Disaster Risk Mitigation, Adaptation, and Preparedness Strategies, or DRMAPS. It is a general education course offered by the University of the Philippines, Diliman. The University of the Philippines, Diliman is one out of several constituent universities of the University of the Philippines system. It is currently administered, it was instituted and is currently administered by the Institute of Civil Engineering, and it's normally offered during the first and second semesters of each academic year since June 2013. This was before Yolanda and also before the earthquake in Bohol at the time. So this is taken by all or any of the undergraduate students that we have in UP Diliman to fulfill a requirement which we call the Science, Technology, and Society requirement in our general education program. And this presentation is aimed at explaining how we mainstream the transdisciplinary approach to DRRM through this course, DR Maps. So why is it transdisciplinary? First of all, we have a teaching team made up of faculty members that come from all 4 clusters. From, of course, the Science and Technology cluster, which includes civil engineering, as well as other branches of civil engineering, but also from the arts and humanities, social sciences and philosophy, and also from the business and management cluster. So we are all well represented. Over the years, we've had faculty members that have come from more than 20 colleges from within UP Diliman. That's the faculty team. We all work together in a coordinated and very collaborative and cooperative manner. So in other words, this is not like many multidisciplinary courses where one faculty lectures, then he passes the baton to the next one. As you will see, we all do this in parallel. We are all present in the class and we all interact and provide our views on a particular topic. The instructional design is actually based on a blended learning model, based on the flipped classroom. This allows us to have a course delivery that is disaster resilient. So even if there is a suspension of classes like the COVID or the eruption of Taal volcano, classes still go on. Because it would be very embarrassing that this is a course on disaster risk management and yet you have a course that is stalled because of a disaster. So even that we show how learning goes on even in the midst of disasters. Students are organized into multidisciplinary groups. So a group of students we get from different programs. No one comes from the same academic cluster. So you'd always have someone from the sciences, from the social sciences, from the arts and humanities and business and management in a group. So it's truly interdisciplinary. And then there are exercises aimed at, with group activities aimed at developing teamwork and leadership skills. So this is a real, we try to create a real-life environment where people have to work in or interdisciplinary teams. And a major requirement of this course involves developing a proposal for a risk assessment case study. So we do it. It is proactive. We try to identify a community, identify what's the next disaster that can happen, and then try to approach it from a transdisciplinary viewpoint. Okay, so the course coverage is, of course, we have to discuss the concepts like the terminologies, of course, the Sendai frameworks, and so on and so forth. Then we came up with this unique part, which is the DRRM perspectives. None of these are technical. The technical material is actually embedded here. It's basically, we have 3 perspectives that we developed. First of all, psychosocial. We try to emphasize that objective risk, which is when we try to see what is the actual risk from the point of view of sciences, is just as important, but there's another part that's equally important, and this is risk perception, how people perceive the risk, and also what level of risk are they willing to accept. So for example, people will not evacuate to an evacuation center if they do not feel safe, or if they do not not, or the relocate if they do not have the necessary services, because the risk acceptance is very low. That's an acceptable option to them. Then we talk about the socio-political perspective, in which we emphasize the interplay between issues related to politics and governance, economics, social justice, and also environmental factors, because we have to balance all of these things to our solution to managing disaster risk management. And of course, the eco-critical perspective, in which this is where the people from the arts take the lead, in the sense that they're able to explain how does the media ecosystem used through tropes and positions and scripts actually shape our risk, our perception of risk and our acceptance of risk. What we see on social media, what we hear on TV and in movies and read in literature actually has a tremendous effect on how we perceive disaster risk. And of course, we go to disaster risk assessment. But then, so we do that, and then we also have risk communication and risk management, focusing on mitigation, adaptation, and preparedness. So always being proactive. But also we discuss the management strategies that come after the disaster event. Okay? And so, like, for example, one exercise that we use for correlating objective and subjective risk is this exercise was used by FEMA to construct a vulnerability curve for flood for different types, typologies of structure. But we use the same exercise to show how does the type of structure, height of flood, shape our dread, the uncertainty, and also our willingness to, let's say, evacuate. If I was in A, my willingness to evacuate is different from if I were in either B, C, or D. And so we've actually have more than 6 years of data on responses to people on this particular exercise. We have non-expert risk assessment methods. Like this first one is a method that's used for individuals, non-experts, to be able to tell if their concrete hollow block is safe. Now, I'm a geotechnical engineer, so my area is into rainfall-induced or rain-induced landslide. So we have a non-expert system in which we measure the angle of slopes using what we call the origami method. We know if it is hard rock or not hard rock by using a nail and drive. If we can drive it into the ground with a hammer, then that is soft rock, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of practical, appropriate technology in these things. Of course, we also have to explain technical things to non-technical people, like doing river modeling and also coastal storm surge modeling, so that at least they know that there are tools like this that they can use to be able to assess the hazard from these types of hazards or hydrometeorological hazards. We also have a 3D participatory mapping technique where people participate, and this is how we draw out and distill the local knowledge from a community to identify where are the places that are safe. They enjoy this because it is very tactile and it's hands-on. And you really get a lot of the experts get a lot of insight into this particular exercise by it being performed. These are just some examples of pitches that our students have placed for their proposal. So at the end of the semester, they have to pitch for, I'm going to do a research study. We invite people that are potential funding sources to fund their research. So this is just one of them. The most common, well, like this one is land subsidence and the sea level rise. Others have to do with fire and also the building codes. Are we compliant? And does the government really enforce the building codes? So in summary, we've offered this class since 2013, and we've had more than 3,000 students. All of these students know how to do a risk assessment of this particular kind. So many of the case study proposals that have been developed in this class actually have been funded by some agencies, private organizations, and NGOs. And this is a proactive type of risk assessment. Now, currently, we're underway into talking to other campuses of the UP system. So one of them is the University of the Philippines in the Visayas. I talked to already the chancellor because he's a friend, but we're also in Mindanao. We're talking about what's the possibility of offering this GE course. Because with that, we want to mainstream it. But even more, UP has an open university. So one of the ideas we have is offering it as a massive online open course so that even people that are not formally enrolled in the university can take this course and learn how to do risk assessment and these details of a disaster risk management class using the transdisciplinary approach. So with that, I'd like to end my presentation, and I'd like to thank everybody for your time.
Thank you very much, Doc Mark. I think you have partially answered Professor Takeuchi's call for researchers to study on the DRR. Okay, so let's move forward with the next topic about the NOTO Peninsula Earthquake and Emergency Responses Utilizing Digital Solutions, to be presented by Yoshihiro Katsuhama-san.
Thank you very much, Zaini. Yeah, my name is Yoshihiro Katsuhama from Nippon Koei. Nippon Koei is a private engineering consulting firm. So I'm going to talk about from the perspective of a private company. And the title is NOTO Peninsula Earthquake 2024 and Emergency Responses Utilizing Digital Solutions. So this is very recent incidents, and this is ongoing efforts. So this is case study from Japan. So 1st of January is a very important day for Japanese people. This is New Year, the largest event in Japan. So usually people are enjoying together with our families on 1st of January. But in the afternoon of 1st of January, this earthquake was happened in Noto Peninsula. And we are now doing some emergency responses after the earthquake. So I'm going to explain about the case study. So this is also transdisciplinary approach case study. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So this is the contents of the presentation. Let me explain first about the Noto Peninsula earthquake occurred on January 1st. And next one is our ongoing efforts, transdisciplinary approach, emergency responses, utilizing digital solutions. So the screen is not very clear, but this is Noto Peninsula, and this area is called Ishikawa Prefecture. So capital of Ishikawa Prefecture is Kanazawa City here, but the distance between Kanazawa City, capital of this prefecture, and this end of peninsula is very far, about 120 or 30 kilometers. So it takes 2.5 hours by driving if the condition is normal. So this area is a very remote area, but the epicenter of the earthquake is this area. So, and this is very mountainous area and surrounded by long coastline. So many hundreds of landslides occurred after the earthquake. And isolated the area. So this is the actual situation. So, but this area is not very populated, isolated area. And the area's problem is the aging society. So young people go to Tokyo or Osaka or big city, and only elder people remaining in the region. And so the average age of the region is higher than average of in Japan. Yeah, this is the situation. So because of the earthquake, about 48,000 households are collapsed, and approximately 40,000 houses lost power when quake occurred. Yeah, and the death toll rate is 241, and actually this 41% of victims' deaths were due to collapsed houses. This is a situation. Yeah, and many lifelines like electricity or water supply or sewage or everything were collapsed due to the earthquake. And this is a building. Building is also collapsed. And many roads are damaged by the earthquake and cut by landslide. So accessibility was lost in the area. And immediately after the earthquake, fire was occurred. So this is a very famous tourist destination. The area has a very famous morning market, but the area was totally burned by fire after the earthquake. And character of this earthquake is, how can I say, so land is uplifted, elevated because of the earthquake. So left-hand side, this area is the ocean, but after the earthquake, land area increased. So many fishing port was buried, elevated, and we cannot use the port, fishing port anymore. This is a situation. And this is also uplifted about 4 meters. This is very, very rare case according to the specialist in the world. So this is also uplifted, yeah, embankment. And this area was used to be the ocean, but now we can see ocean algae. And this is landslides. So many roads are cut by landslides. So we found hundreds of landslides in the area. And we had tsunami also. But because of the uplift or elevated land, tsunami's damage was less than expected. Yeah, this is the situation. And most important thing for lifeline is liquefaction. So liquefaction is occurred not only in Ishikawa area near the epicenter, but also the other areas of the earthquake. So it damaged all lifelines like water supply or electricity or roads. So this is big problem. So now let me explain about the transdisciplinary approach, emergency responses to cope with the earthquake. So first, I want to talk about the Digital Agency of Japan. The agency was established in 2021, and the agency leads to establish committees consisting of municipalities and private companies to work together to disseminate digital solutions. And the digital agency has a special section. I cannot see the character, but dealing with disaster risk reduction. So we consider that this disaster risk reduction is a very important topic in Japan, and we consider that we can apply digital solutions to this area also. Then this is a committee established, led by Digital Agency. We call it Public-Private Digital Transformation Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction. And abbreviation is BDX, because we call disaster risk reduction as both sides, starting from B, and the digital transformation is DX, so we call it BDX. And the purpose of the committee is to realize DRR, both in usual and emergency situations by public-private collaborations. And the number of members is 420 as of now. consisting of 95 local public entities like municipalities or some organization, governmental organizations, and 325 private entities, including my company. A private company has various fields. It varies various industries, so like data providers or consultants or transportation sector or startups or some SIRs or insurance company or financial institution or media or medical institution, NPO or NGO, something like that. So it covers various fields. So the mission of the committee is clarification of issues. So we are trying to look for, find the root cause of disaster. This is number one mission of the committee. And number two is platform development, because this is focusing on digital solutions. So we are trying to establish digital platform. And then important thing is also market development to encourage private sector to participate in disaster risk reduction. This is 3 missions of the committee. Let me skip this one. Yeah, and this is BDX, the committee's correspondence to NOTO Peninsula earthquake. So immediately after the earthquake, we started to discuss and we started to collecting information and supporting activities by BDX members. So we announced the BDX members how we can help the damaged site, disaster site. Then from 3rd of January, 2 days after, we started the recruitment of organizations and companies officially to support emergency responses. And then from 8th of January, we established the BDX Center in Ishikawa Prefecture Government Office, so to work together with government people. So we now have desks in Ishikawa Prefecture Government to grasp what to do and to accept some, to know the needs of disaster from the disaster stricken area. Yeah, so this is an example of support from BDX. So because of the corruption of utilities, most important thing is we could not grasp the actual situation in damaged site. So our member company, KDDI is a communication company. They provide hundreds of mobile tools named Starlink, yeah, to, how can I say it, to reconstruct the communication network. Then we provide both generator and Starlink systems to the area by working together with self-defense force or other entities. Then at least communication between evacuation centers were kept because of this one. This is immediately after the earthquake. Then, for example, we worked with communication company KDDI and DMAT. DMAT is a disaster medical assistance team. So they are a group of medical people, and we offer some distance diagnosis, medical diagnosis, yeah, from Tokyo or some area, yeah, utilizing that established communication. And what the most difficult at that time was to grasp the actual situation of evacuation centers in the area. So our member companies established a GIS-based system to know the actual situation of evacuation centers. So there are many public evacuation centers, and also we had many temporary evacuation centers. But actually, the government office could not know the actual situation of the center and even the location of the center. So because of establishment of this system, we could became to know the actual situation of the evacuation center. It was established within 3 days. Yeah, And this is also some solutions utilizing IC card. So one railway company, JR East Japan Company, provided the IC card for transportation and some devices to read the contents of IC card to the area to utilize to the actual situation of the evacuation center. So who come to the evacuation? And many people evacuated to first phase evacuation center, but then they moved to another evacuation center, better evacuation center. So it was very difficult for municipalities who are in the evacuation center and how they move to another evacuation center. So this system enabled to understand the actual situation, and then the government or municipalities can send appropriate support or goods or food to the evacuation center. So this is also utilized by digital solutions. Yeah, so this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Yoshihiro-san, for that wonderful tour about the digital program in the DRR response in Japan. Okay, to go to the next last topic, may we call on our current chair of the TC-21, Mikio Ishiwatari-san.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming here and good opportunity to discuss TDA by using case studies in Philippines and Japan. My topic is financing. And already Professor Takeuchi or others mentioned Philippines are increasing rapidly financing for flood control. My talk is I'd like to emphasize importance of TDA approach for securing financing, collaborative approaches. Okay, let's start. Yeah. Okay, I will explain some Japanese situation, and I will examine such Philippine situation. So very quickly review Japanese situation. As you know, recently it's a very strange, something strange. Big flooding happened almost every year. This is 2020 Kyushu. Some 80 people died in this Kumagawa River. 1 year before, this is Tokyo area. You can see high-rise condominium. This is a very high-end Musashi Kosugi. These areas flooded actually. As such, well, this is some data, but some, yeah, as you can see, almost every year something happened. And this year, over 200 people died. This is for the first time for the last 36 years or something. And 2019, Typhoon Hagibis hit Tokyo area. This is a record high of economic damage. As such, recently, because of climate change, they say it's changing. So, what's our efforts, Japanese efforts? As you may know, for the last 60 or 70 years, Japan invested. Because of such invested, death toll decreased from 1,000 annually, less than 300, and recently it's 100 or something. Economic damage decreased from 4% of GDP. Nowadays it's 0.4%. So it's our investment successfully decreased damage for the last 70 years. And yeah, this is Tsukahara sensei's estimation. So how much is the benefit? This is trillion yen. So around this peak time, this is investment 4 trillion yen. So like a 2 trillion Philippine peso. And the benefit would be 8 trillion yen. So this is Tsukahara sensei's estimate. So as such, Japan could, this is a very good investment. 1 yen investment return to 2 yen almost every year. Okay, anyway. And I would explain my research, some JICA research. So this is a hypothesis. How budget of flood protection fluctuate, increase or decrease? First, as I explained, urbanization, economic growth, or climate change will increase damage. So government realize we have to do something. So like a long-term plan, mid-term plans, legislation, special account, etc. So invest, starting, and constructing dikes or dams, infrastructure. Damage will decrease. However, something happened, like war or recession or something, again, investment will decrease. So this is a sort of cycle. This is some hypothesis. So I examined the last over 150 years Japanese history and proved there is such cycle. For example, when Japan started modernization in 19th century, flood damage, this is damage to GDP per capita. This is budget, GDP per capita. Once big flooding happened, government suddenly started budget increase. But after that, something happened. In this case, Japan started war against Russia. That's why they decreased budget. And we continued such a cycle. And this cycle is a reverse because of World War II. Our government spent money for war. That's why it's a reverse. Even though big flooding happened, government could not invest. And after the war, this is another cycle started. And this is the last cycle. So what's happened now? Japan could suffer big flooding, Ishiwatari typhoon, lost 5% GDP. And as a peak, Japan invested 0.8% budget of GDP and could succeed, decrease damage, and still continue such a low level of damage, like 0.4%, as I said, and still keep some level of budgeting, even though we decreased. So this is some cycle. So question is how to keep this position. Decrease damage, but still we keep some level of investment. This would be a challenge. So I would explain further. Yeah, so this is a cycle I proved, I believe. And okay, so let's see the Philippines. What's happening in the Philippines? Yeah, similar examination. This is damage. No, this is budget, and this is damage. Before 2013, DPWH, government did not invest so much, even though big flooding happened. Like a level is only 0.2% of GDP. So even though some big flooding happened, they could not. However, Typhoon Yolanda hit 2013. Suddenly, government started increasing budget. And now they are keeping some 0.7% or currently 0.5% or something. It's a very high. As I explained, Japanese peak was 0.8%. Already Philippines reached such a level. So this is higher than China, US. I believe this is the highest now in the world. So DPWH investing such a, and where we cannot say Philippine government could succeed damage because they experience only 10 years. We cannot know damage may increase or Philippine government may decrease if something happened. So we are not sure, but they started such a cycle as Japan experienced. And yeah, so how's the benefit? I applied Tsukahara sensei's methods more simple way. So this is some damage, potential damage, because Philippine economy is developing. Such a potential damage, meaning assets in risk area, value is increasing. And for the last 20 years. And this is actual damage. This is a potential, but actual damage already happened. And this year, as I said, Typhoon Yolanda came, so the damage increased. And as I said, Philippine government increasing investment. So what's the benefit? Benefit is a potential damage minus actual damage. This, we assume, this would be a benefit by investment. But in the Philippine case, Tsukahara sensei's estimate is very clear. But Philippine, your country just started investment. So benefit is not so still clear. Maybe we can see maybe 10 years later or something. Currently still very initial stage. This is our analysis. Okay, so very quickly, how we can secure such budgeting? In case of Japan, long-term plan. This is a commitment by the government, cabinet approved, meaning finance minister approved it, and earmarked some budget for coming 5 years. And in the Philippine case, you have a midterm development plan, midterm, but it doesn't include such a earmarking budget. But in case of Japan, our government committed for the five year, this money will be used for flooding. So this is one. Another one is a special account, collecting money, government, local, private company, and this money is used only for flood protection, separated from general accounting. So this is another way. Okay, so, and TDA, from TDA perspective, flood protection is not only government, central government business. This is our Japanese experience. Central government, provincial government, and local community, we are sharing responsibility, we are sharing cost. But if we look at the Philippines, only DPWH is the covering cost. And everybody blame DPWH if something happened. Actually, this is not fair. Everyone has to share responsibility, and everyone has to share costs. So my policy suggestion, well, not necessarily to apply this Japanese case, but each LGUs or local community, DPWH, they should share responsibility and they should share costs. This is my policy recommendation based on Japanese experience. Okay, so these are these, yeah? Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Mikio Ishiwatari-san, for that enlightenment about the need, for funding to have economic benefits. Okay, so we are left with a few minutes of our scheduled time. So maybe we can entertain 3 to 4 questions. Yes.
Yeah, this is more of a comment maybe actually. Professor Takeuchi especially told me maybe you can join the... I think there seems to be some kind of a confusion or maybe a mix of how we talk about transdisciplinarity and we mix it with inter or multidisciplinarity. Now, I always attach transdisciplinary approach to a problem we are solving. Because if you have mono, maybe a mechanic can solve why the car doesn't start. If it's a multi, you solve the problem, decompose it, and then you relegate to different experts, and then you add. Like when you're sick, you have different, doctors, specialists, and then you discuss. Oh, yeah, that is a stomach problem. Same thing. You solve the problem as a whole, decompose it, relegate to the expert, and then integrate. So that's the kind of problem that you try to solve. But if you talk about transdisciplinary approach, it was redeveloped and it was formalized sometime in the year 2002. There was this global whatever. The idea is that if you have a large scale, complex, nonlinear, unstable, non-stationary, non-decomposable, problem, uncertain, unpredictable, then that's how transdisciplinary approach comes in. And for that kind of a wicked problem, you solve the problem as a whole, and you do not decompose, because problems like that are non-decomposable. So what you do is that everyone who solves the problem will have to just look at the relationships among the different components of the problem without decomposing. I think Professor Takeuchi, Warren Hall, the father of systems engineering in the US, he was always talking about decomposition system, right, when you solve water resource problems. But what are the nonlinear, non-predictable, uncertain, non-decomposable, non-stationary problems? Flooding problem, for example. If I look at the flooding problem in an urban area like Metro Manila or even Central Luzon, the hydrological or the climate factors may be not quite as big as the social, economic factors. You might have climate change, but big component is political change or land use change and all those. So if you solve the problem, you cannot decompose, as I mentioned. So that's a feature in a problem that is amenable or that's supposed should be the problem solved in a transdisciplinary approach. Now, in fact, in 2002 also, where there was a global conference, they developed a tool to solve transdisciplinary problems using sustainability science. Sustainability science was inspired by transdisciplinarity. And I think there are school of thoughts that's, and Professor Yoshihiro of University of Tokyo has fairly articulated that, how to do sustainability science, which is based on evolutionary chains. It doesn't, evolution and changes evolve in time and space, and then it's irreversible. And then again, no longer solvable by what we call Newtonian approach, which is cause and effect, because everything will be kind of a lot of feedback. And you have to employ this what you call evolutionary resilience. I think all of those we have discussed before, where you keep on, when you have a problem, you don't go back to the normal. You keep on reinventing, recreating yourself, and realize that the next thing you should aim at is a new normal. And we experienced that in the COVID case. So that's again a wicked problem, the pandemic. I mean, the big COVID pandemic. So anyway, I hope that I just want to put a perspective as far as my experience when you talk about transdisciplinary. So that's the idea.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Yeah, so any other comment or question to our panelists before we conclude our program? Do you have additional comment, Professor Takeuchi?
Well, I'd like to say a few words to my friend, Professor Tavios. In your definition, very interesting. The multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, the components can be decomposed, but transdisciplinary, we cannot. I think this is a new kind of definition. The ordinary definition is multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary doesn't include the real implementation. Discipline means some research, and research goes into solution, and the solution should be implemented, and the researchers may say, well, this is solution. The practitioners implement it. However, in transdisciplinary approach, even the researchers work together with the practitioners and implement it. So implementation comes into or not, that is a kind of ordinary definition. However, I really appreciate you to say, the transdisciplinary approach, we should go beyond the disciplinary people or the sectoral approach can reach. Well, we have to go beyond the sectoral or disciplinary approach. And we come into holistic solution. That is the sustainability issue. And I appreciate very much. Well, today I'm very happy to have the variety of the presentations, including the very interesting comparison between Japanese and I have lots of questions actually, but we continue to this the discussion. The TDA is not just a single shot firework. This should continue, and we have to reach to the holistic solution and the implementation. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. So it appears that our TDA being discussed tonight is just a beginning of more challenging discussion. So maybe TC will have to be promoted to become one of the permanent committees of the ASEC, no? Because we have a lot of things to be discussed and a lot of things to explore within the TC. So any more last comment before we conclude tonight's activity? Maybe a lot of you are already hungry, and we will have to travel to the dinner for some minutes. So any more? No more. I think with those that we have discussed this evening, it's a great thing that we held this TC-21 session today, and we hope to have more discussions in the coming ECMs, wherever those will be held. No? And on behalf of the TC-21, though I'm not part of the TC-21 in the Philippines, we would like to thank everyone for listening and joining us. For those who are online, thank you very much for attending this session, and we hope that everyone will have a good day ahead or a good night ahead. Thank you very much. Yes, before we leave this hall, let's have photo opportunities in front. Everyone, please.